Welcome to the intermission. I decided that as I was compiling this list, I would love to hear from some of the creators who are part of it. So we just finished watching a video from Chris Taniguchi, Tanya Mato, his YouTube channel about scams. And so I decided to do a quick little Skype call with him and ask him a few questions. And you'll see his animated form. So Chris, what inspired you to make this video?
I began making my scams video because I was looking for some aspect of my life to make an animated story about. And there were many avenues I thought I could go down, but I kind of wanted to hit something that kind of resonated with like my core personality and kind of one of my big character flaws at the same time. It's weird kind of introducing yourself in animated form or in any capacity by starting out with like, hey, nice to meet you. This is like one of the worst aspects about myself, but I wanted to be vulnerable. That's kind of like, I think the space that YouTube is that a lot of people share aspects that aren't always their best qualities. And the more I dug into it, the more it kind of like burned. So I just thought of that as a sign that I was getting somewhere, and then I just kept going with it, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right in saying that the YouTube is great for that vulnerability, as much as like we don't sometimes like to share like the worst parts of our character. For whatever reason, that makes it more genuine when your audience is watching it.
Yeah, I definitely thought about just making it like, hey, isn't this person Chris cool? I'm so good at so many things, and I'm such a cool guy, but it's not me. So I just kind of went with it from my vulnerable side, and it kind of worked out, I think.
Do you recall what the reception was like for your video?
Yeah, I do. I think it was very good, actually. Part of it's because of the very, very kind and wonderful and very active animation community that just kind of popped up on YouTube recently. I don't know if you're familiar with like the craziness that's happening since 2016, but there's a lot of people who are telling stories in like animated form now.
I've definitely seen that huge explosion over the last couple of years, especially at like VidCon. When I'm there, I'm seeing a more of an animated presence.
Yeah, it's extremely fun to interact with them, but I didn't realize how like compassionate the people were there, and I didn't know if it would translate to like some sort of weird toxicity. But when I came out with scams, the response has been a lot of people kind of like identifying with that problem that I have and kind of like reassuring me that I'm not the only one. I actually showed my aunt this video, and she told me a story about like some person trying to like scam her by like fixing her car or something. As much as I helped other people, everybody else has been kind of helping me realize that I'm not the only one who's been falling for all these things.
I'm glad that scamming runs in the family so much for you. Finally, is there a video that you can think of that was your favorite of the year?
There is a YouTube video by Julia Nunes that I can't talk about yet because it's not public, but oh man. Okay, so I got one. This one's called Welcome to My Life, and it's an animated cartoon from Cartoon Network. It's a short pilot or like a short video. It's the story about this monster who's living in normal human society in kind of an imagined future where monsters live with people. It's kind of like an allegory for kind of minorities. The way that they solve conflict in this film and the way that they endear the characters to you really pulled at my heartstrings a lot.
I love it. I'll link to that down in the description below as well. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being a creator. I look forward to what your newest videos are going to be like in 2018, but thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. I wish you luck in everything, and same to your viewers. Bye.
And now we're going to segue into a video that was made by Kalela, a local YouTuber that I've had the great pleasure of getting to know over the last year. We're going to see her video next, but I decided to ask her some of the same questions I just asked Chris, and we're going to pretend that we filmed this on the same day. So thank you so much for joining me here today, Kalela.
Thank you for having me.
You made a really great video, at least in my opinion, here in the past year. It's entitled "Having Coffee and a Chat with My Mom." I guess my first question is, what made you want to make this video?
Based on the date that it was uploaded, it was on or around Mother's Day. And my mother, many people know this if they're in my personal life or watch my channel, but if you've never seen or heard of me before, my mother passed away a couple years ago. I think it'll be 3 years in February. And I often have a lot of feelings about that. So I think I just decided one day that, you know what? I'm gonna take these feelings and plop a camera in front of me, and the camera will have the face of my mother, and I'm just gonna talk at it.
There is evidence. If you go and watch the video, if you're watching the playlist, you'll actually see this here very, very quickly. But I did leave a comment on your video after I watched it, mentioning how emotional it made me, because it was just a very honest talk with someone who wasn't in your life but had such a huge impact in your life. Do you recall if there was any major reaction to that video in relation to your others?
A lot of people were very sad, and a lot of people sent me a lot of heart emojis. Just when you don't know what to say, you take a heart emoji, put it 16 times, and hit send. And that meant a lot to me. I don't know. Apparently, it made some people feel feelings, whether they be like bittersweet feelings or just devastated, heartbroken feelings. And I'm not saying like I'm a sadist, but I like making people feel feelings. So I guess that was kind of a good reaction.
I have a theory that in like 10 years time, we're just going to be speaking in emojis. So I don't know. We'll see if that comes true or not. I guess my last question here for you, is there a video either like that you made or that somebody else made that you consider the best that you saw in the last year?
I guess the first one that comes to mind, I don't think it's the best video on YouTube, but I thought it was interesting to watch, was Emma Blackery's video about why she's not going to be doing, what's that word, YouTube Rewind next year. And it was just a half-hour long video of, hey, the film industry is not glamorous. And also, it's not supposed to be this, not glamorous, you know? So that was really interesting because as a person who works in film for most of my rent money and stuff, I saw a lot of stuff that I'm kind of used to seeing on smaller, like, little to no budget productions coming from the giant thing that is YouTube. So that was really interesting, in my opinion.
No, that's great. That's a great answer. Thank you so much for taking like a small portion of your time out of your day. It's very funny. We live in the same city, but it is extra icy today, so we couldn't do this in person. So if you are sticking around for the playlist, you're going to see Kalela's video coming up next. And yeah, we'll continue on watching some videos together.
Sweet. Fun times.
I'm back in the first shirt I was wearing in this video, and we're going to continue on with our playlist. Thank you so much for the people who decided to sit down and have a brief conversation with me. And you can see some of the videos they talked about down in the description below. But for now, let's continue on with this playlist.